Welcome. I'm so happy to see you, so happy that you're here with us this evening. We're going to begin with a poem followed by a piece of music as our opening meditation. And David, could we switch to gallery view for just a moment so that people can see one another? Look at these beautiful faces. Look at this loving community, this precious community we all have an opportunity to be part of. And so just gently allow your gaze to move from face to face as you feel moved, as you listen to this poem by Candace Kirby. This place is a resting place, a safe place, a place where you can relax and breathe deeply into the space in your chest that hardly ever receives any oxygen. This is a resting place where you can allow your neck to loosen and your shoulders to droop a little, allowing all the tension to dissolve into the atmosphere without making a single effort. This is the place where arguments cease, because there is nothing to defend here. A place to lay down your arms and exhale, and resting place. This is the place where sadness and exhaustion are welcomed as friends and guides, where the strong pull of defeat finally wins and you can lay your head down. This is a resting place where friends meet and hold each other gently and compassionately as the sharp edges of too much pretending wear down and disappear. And so as we listen to this piece of music, just allow yourself to move into that space of deep rest. Nothing to defend, nothing to protect. A place of safety, a resting place where friends compassionately hold one another, and any pressure to pretend simply dissolves and disappears. As you're ready, just gently allow your awareness to return to this physical space. And once again, welcome. Our theme for the evening is Come What May. Come what may. Staying human in inhuman times. Clearly, we are living in very difficult, challenging, and uncertain times. In times like this, according to the ancient Tibetan teachings of Shambhala, these kinds of times are when the Shambhala warriors appear to protect the people and to preserve and nourish what is best, most precious in the human spirit. The Shambhala warriors vow that they will not add to the aggression and hatred and violence in the world. My friend Meg Wheatley, whom I see Gabrielle is here. Gabrielle has studied extensively in Meg's training for warriors for the human spirit. Meg describes sometimes what the warriors do is create islands of sanity in the midst of the craziness that seems to be whirling around us so much these days. And islands of sanity are places where our humanity can come forth. There's a teaching in the Jewish tradition in a work called the Pirkei Avot that says, in the places where there are no human beings, be one. In the places where there are no human beings, be one. And Rumi, in a number of his poems, refers to what he calls the true human being. So part of what we're going to look at tonight is, what does it mean to be a true human being? We certainly recognize when we see people behaving in inhuman ways. But what is it to be human? So I invite you now to just take a moment to reflect on that and then type into the chat a couple of words or a phrase that for you captures the essence of what it means to be a true human being, what Rumi was pointing to. authentic and heart-centered. Compassion, honesty. To be a human being is to be vulnerable, non-judgmental. In awe, kind, to listen and hold space for another, to fully experience the human experience as spirit, giving to others, loving, forgiveness, protector, in awe of life, loving and generous, a fearless broken heart, respect. These are wonderful, and they're coming very fast right now, celebrating the gifts of incarnation on this planet, tender, conscious of one's impact, empathic, collaborative. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Can you feel for a moment your own longing to show up in your lives, in your relationships, in your communities, in this world, in those ways? And also feel your longing to live in a world, in a community, in a place where others are showing up that way as well. Those are the spaces where our souls are free to reveal themselves, where we're free to connect at a depth that touches us to our very core. Thank you for those beautiful reflections, and we'll see if there's a way that we can save those after. Another poem, an invitation to reflect more deeply on what it might mean for you to show up in this world in that way. This is a poem called Questions to Consider When Waking. David, can we have the slide? Questions to consider when waking. What would you do if you really knew that life was wanting to sing through you? What would you say if your words could convey prayers that the world was waiting to pray? What would you be if your being could free some piece of the world's unwhispered beauty? What would you stop to bless and caress if you believed that blessing could address our painful illusions of brokenness? What would you harvest from heartache and pain if you understood loss as a way to regain the never-forsaken terrain of belonging? What would you love if your love could ignite a sea full of stars on the darkest night? So take just a moment now to sit with these questions and notice which one, or maybe two, feel most compelling for you. So you may want to read the poem again to yourself. And just notice whether one or more of these questions really shimmers for you. And as you reflect, you may want to make some notes for yourself. Jot down what comes to you. Your response. You'll have about 7 or 8 minutes to reflect, to write, to draw. All of these invitations to be a true human being. So please now bring your journaling, your reflection to a close. You're going to have an opportunity now to move into breakouts. Most of the breakouts will have 3 people. A couple of them are going to have 4. And you'll have time to share with the people in your groups whatever you feel moved to share about your reflection, what spoke to you, what came to you. As you're listening, just allow yourselves to receive what's being offered to you. It's a wonderful phrase I heard a couple of weeks ago, listen generously. And I really love that. Listen generously with the openness of your hearts. Listen for the deeper place in the person who's speaking, and recognize that there may not be a whole lot of places in that person's life where they have the opportunity to share in this way and to this depth. And so allow yourself to receive what they're offering as a gift, and receive it with appreciation and with deep, deep honor. I said earlier that the warriors, the Shambhala warriors, are determined to not add to the aggression and hatred and violence in the world. And my favorite definition of nonviolence comes from Parker Palmer, who says that nonviolence is the determination to treat with honor the soul in every circumstance. And so this is an opportunity for you both to treat the souls of the people in your group with deep honor and respect, and to be on the receiving end of that as well. In the groups that have 3 people, you'll have 5 minutes each. The groups that have 4 people, you'll have just about 4 minutes each. There'll be 15 to 16 minutes for this whole process in breakouts. David, will you send a signal after each 5 minutes to the groups? And in the groups of 4, if someone would volunteer to be a timekeeper and just kind of signal after each 4 minutes so everyone has a chance to share, that would be great. So please now go into your breakouts. For those of you who are watching this as a replay on YouTube, while the people here are in their breakouts, feel free to pause the recording and continue to reflect and journal on the questions in the poem. You know, one of the things I've noticed, I think pretty much everyone is back, is that whenever people come back from having been in breakout groups, they almost always come back smiling. There seems to be something so nourishing about that opportunity to be in deep conversation with like-minded, like-hearted, like-spirited folk. So we have some time now to hear from you some of what you discovered and gleaned in this whole process. So it's not so much repeating to the large group what you shared with the people in your small groups, but more, what did you discover? And what was most meaningful to you as you reflected on those questions and as you listened to the people in your group share? Particularly about being a true human being. And we actually do have time to hear your voices rather than simply in the chat. So if you raise your hand virtually, we can invite you to unmute. Terry.
Well, we talked a lot about how this moment in time with each of you and in our small group was almost like a seed that has been planted. And those questions are so huge. I don't think anybody can figure it out tonight, but it planted that seed that I feel will grow and expand and shared and multiplied and, on into like an infinity kind of place. And that's what's so beautiful about this kind of group is that those seeds are planted, with each other and helping each other. We plant those seeds and listen to each other so deeply. And I just want to mention that I was saying in my group that my like a best friend of mine just passed away from MS. And I just want to say his name as a blessing to the higher. His name was Paul Murray, is Paul Murray. And he taught me through his passing that love never dies. Love never, in fact, it's even more expansive and more beautiful and more truthful and more peaceful than I could have ever dreamed. And so, if anybody is going through any kind of loss, gosh, I'd like to give you just a little bit of what I just learned. And forgiveness is something you don't have to do like as a chore. It comes joyfully through love. It comes so joyfully. It's like I've downloaded the book Course in Miracles into my heart right now, because there's no forgiveness because there's no injury. There's only love. There's only different expressions of love. And I'm so happy. I'm so happy to have this moment to share.
Thank you, Terry. Thank
Thank
you.
you so much,
And
everyone.
blessings for Paul and for
Thank you.
everyone who loves him.
Thank you.
Thank you. Julie.
Terry, thank you. That was beautiful. And I'm going to follow your lead. A dear friend of mine passed away a week and a half or so ago. His name was Anthony Charmanti. He was a priest in the Albany area. I've known him since I was in 8th grade. And dear friend. So what I am learning, continuing to learn, is all of the beautiful ways that we as humans have to react to poems like this. And every way that we react is absolutely perfect. And I learn from all of you, and it enhances my life and I'm just very grateful. So thank you, Diane, for the poem, for sharing it. And thank you to my group, and thank you to Terry.
And thank you to you, Julie. And blessings on Anthony and all who love him. Yeah. Karen.
Oh my gosh, it's so good to feel connected to one spirit again. Oh, it just feels wonderful. And we talked about that in our group, that it's so nice. And when you talked about us coming back smiling, oh my gosh. And for me, I'm in a very liminal place of from moving from where I was living to eventually we're building a house. And I have found a partner in life, Scott, and it's changed me totally. And how I go inside, and I'm growing because I get to look at, reflections of myself. But what struck me is that the yearning that I have, and comparing it to when I was in seminary or even through the years, the yearning is more like an aching now. When you talked about yearning to be a human being, a divine human being, the ache that I feel inside of me, and to look at where is it easier for me and where is it more difficult. And living in a small mobile home, waiting to move into a house, we're right up against each other. And that is where I can do it sometimes, but so many times it's really, really a challenge. And so for me, that ache, I want to carry away from tonight and fit into my daily life, even when I am not able to be able to be mindful enough to feel that ache, because that's what it's about for me. It's the ache of it's available to me. And the more that I see my own divinity, the more I see other people's divinity. So that ache inside of me is such a gift.
Yeah,
because
it's like your mindfulness bell.
Yes, exactly, Diane. So thank you. I can't tell you how much I appreciate you all here tonight. I just am so elated with love. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen. Sandy. You're muted. I think you need to unmute yourself.
What I wanted to say was I've just begun One Spirit. I'm my second month, and I almost decided not to apply because when I read about breakout rooms, I thought, oh no, the introvert here. These folks tonight, not that everybody hasn't been, but these folks were so lovely. And they're both past graduates of One Spirit. And it was just like I'd known them forever, but I just wanted to say thank you to them, and thank you to all of you, and thank you to you, Diane.
Thank you, Sandy. Yeah. Wonderful that you had that quality of experience. Yeah. And Maya.
I was in a breakout room with Marcus, and in his incredible resonating voice, he read the question, but couldn't read his own writing. So he changed a word and I adopted it. What would you stop to bless and caress if you, instead of believed, Marcus said beloved? That blessing could address our painful illusions of brokenness. So I have changed this question. What would you stop to bless and caress if you believed beloveds? that blessing could address our painful illusions of brokenness. So I resonate with what everyone said, and how a true blessing it is to be with all of you in our beloved community. And thank you, Diane and David, and for everything.
Thank you, Maya. And we'll hear from Betsy, and we'll hear from Margaret, and then we'll close the evening.
I love it that it says that loss, I don't have the exact words, will lead to the terrain of belonging. And I started out being very struck when you said that tiredness can be your guide, and I'm extremely tired. And my second husband died about 3 months ago, and I've been running to belong and to keep up with all the groups and all the things, and it's to 3 communities. And I somehow, this is saying to me tonight that I can believe that there is belonging. I don't have to, I can rest. I will find my way to do those things that I do believe that I like this thing. What would you do if you really knew that life was waiting to sing through you? I've written a book, which I published a year ago, and all of a sudden people are calling me and asking me to speak. And I have a feeling that I need to stop running around and maybe do the thing that's truly mine to sing about.
Sounds like a little,
much to think about. Thank you.
yeah, sounds like deep wisdom, Betsy. Thank you. And Margaret.
Okay. I just wanted to thank you for framing this as a time that the Shambhala warriors come forth and create islands of sanity. To me, I really, really like this image and just that frame, because I really feel like that's what we're doing, and it's just gives it, I don't know, gives it some kind of definition that's very sweet and kind. And, so I just wanted to thank you because I really, really like that.
Wonderful. You also thank Meg Wheatley. That's her phrase. Yeah. Thank you, Margaret. And thank all of you. This has been very rich. An hour feels like too short a time. But maybe we can do this regularly. Yeah. We're going to close with another poem. This one by our beloved Rosemary Watola Tromer. And David, can we have the slide of Rosemary's poem? This poem is called Big Eden. As surely as I know how to spell harvest, I understood today that no matter our job titles, our work is gardener. Always the same. Plant the seeds, tend what grows, nourish, pinch back, repeat. What a gift to see at last the size of the garden. What a gift to be in service to the world, to pull up our sleeves, to smell the earth, to take what we've been given and make it better, to feed the others, to do it again. And May Sarton has written one of my favorite. It's an excerpt from a longer poem. But she says, help us to always be the faithful gardeners of the Spirit, who know that without darkness, nothing comes to birth, as without light, nothing flowers. So in these challenging times, may we recognize the blessings in the darkness, and may we recommit to be a presence of light. Thank you all so much.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
night.
Thank you.
Good night,
everybody.
Blessings.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Good night,
Good night,
everyone.
everyone.
Love you.
Good night to everyone. Blessings to you all.